There we go. All right. So let's make our way over to our mats. And we're going to begin lying down. So go ahead and make your way to lying down. And feel free to put something under your head for support if that's more comfortable. We're going to begin lying down with our feet on the floor. So go ahead and place your feet on the floor. You could have your eyes open, you could let your eyes close, whatever feels better. But we begin this practice by bringing our awareness to what it feels like to be here now. So we can let go of all thoughts of, the virus, what's going on in the world, and all the things happening in our lives. And we're just going to focus on the simple act of paying attention to what it feels like to be lying down in whatever space you're in, with the floor beneath you. Notice how your body feels as it's lying down. What parts of your body touch the floor? And as the floor is supporting you, can you feel your body begin to relax? And we recognize that we hold a lot of tension in the body. So if we're dealing with injury or pain, those areas we hold very protectively. But here now, can you let those areas relax a bit? There's no need to hold them protectively. So just release the holding on that you might be feeling. If we are having some emotional challenges in our lives, that tension, that stress, whatever, that lives in our bodies as well. And for this next hour, we're just going to be on our mats practicing so we can let go of fear or anger or resentment or worry. Like holding on to that stuff all the time really doesn't serve us. So let's set that all aside. Release the physical effect of those things from the body. And just begin with the body feeling relaxed, maybe open. No tightness, no restriction, no clenching or gripping. Just a nice open, relaxed body. Let's invite the roof of the mouth to soften, to relax, to broaden. And let's begin to just focus on our breathing. Bring your full awareness to the feeling of your breath moving in and the feeling of your breath emptying out. If you're not stuffed up, breathe in through your nose. Nice, full, deep breath. And you can breathe out through your nose, or you can open the mouth to maybe encourage a little fuller emptying of the breath. So let the breath be full and deep. Let it flow in and down, let it expand. And let it empty. Sometimes it takes a while for the breath to empty all the way out. Give it that time and space. Let it release fully. So any residual tension, emotional challenge that maybe we haven't successfully let go of yet, maybe that can empty out with your next exhale. See if you can let the worry, the stress, the anxiety, anything that's bugging you, just see if you can let it go. This is a challenging time that we're going through. We're all dealing with a lot. We don't have to hold on to it in every moment. So let's free ourselves with a few more rounds of deep breathing. Nice, clean, fresh, positive energy flowing in. And then that emptying out, that letting go of anything heavy or hard. We're kind of having created a fresher slate, just an openness to the present moment. After your next full release of breath, you can transition into a more natural breath rhythm and begin to open your eyes. Let's take our arms up to the ceiling, fingertips to the ceiling. And we could reach the arms up. If we reach the arms up, the shoulders would come off the floor. And then let's pull these upper arm bones back down into the shoulder socket and drop or press the back of the shoulders into the floor. As the back of the shoulders press into the floor, let your arms go a little wider so that more of the back of your shoulder can touch the floor. Let your arms go even wider, start to open them out. We'll hold them a little bit off the floor, but can you feel the back of the shoulder dropping or pressing into the ground? And then with the back of the shoulder on the floor, begin to bring your arms back up toward the ceiling. So can you bring your arms up without lifting the shoulders off the floor? So the collarbones are broad here. So the back of the shoulders on the floor, collarbones broad, fingertips to the ceiling, but then let's bend the elbows so the fingertips point back behind you overhead. And then we'll take our feet off the floor so we come into our beginning dead bug position, bent knees, bent arms. Let's inhale and lift arms and legs up toward the ceiling, getting a little stretch in the backs of the legs, and exhale and bend. So with the breath, inhaling to lift up, exhaling to bend. Few more like this, inhaling to lift and exhaling to bend. Keep going. Just linking breath and movement here. One more time, up and down. And then when you come to the bend position, let's do opposite arm and opposite leg. So one leg and the opposite arm go up, and then we bend, and then other arm and leg go up, and then you bend. So it's a simple movement, but sometimes coordinating the two sides is a little challenging. So just be patient with yourself. Opposite arm and opposite leg go up, and then back to bend. And again. So as you're doing this movement, the back of the shoulders staying heavy on the ground. We can be inhaling as the arm and leg go up and exhaling as they bend. Just warming up here. One more time on each side. Opposite arm and opposite leg go up, and then we bend. And last time like that. All right, from this bend knee position, let's straighten everything up. Arms and legs go up toward the ceiling. And did your shoulders lift up? If they did, could you drop them back down? Nice and broad across the collarbones. So now draw an imaginary line down the center of your body, nose, chin, sternum, pubic bone. Keep that line steady. Take one leg out to the side without losing that midline stability. Take your opposite arm out to the side as you inhale, and then bring that arm and leg back up. And then the other leg goes out to the side. Maintain that midline stability. Take your opposite arm out to the side, and then bring that arm and leg back up. So we'll inhale as arm and leg go out to the side, and we'll exhale as they come back up. And we'll do the other side. So we go nice and slow, and we really focus on that midline. Focusing on the midline is a really great way to feel the body, to activate our proprioceptive awareness. And feeling the body is a remedy for dealing with anxiety. So let's just focus on that center line. Can you keep it from changing as your leg goes out to the side? So the hip doesn't lift, it doesn't turn. You're just continuing to open opposite arm and leg out to the side and then coming back up. You take that leg out to a point where it's a challenge to maintain that midline stability, but you can do it. So if your leg went a little further, you might lose that midline stability, but you go right to that edge. So the core has to really work to keep that line steady and stable. So let's do one or two more of these. Opposite arm and opposite leg open out, and then we exhale back up, and other side. Inhaling to open and exhaling back up. If you'd like a break, just hug your knees in, give yourself a rest. Let's make sure that the back of the shoulders are resting into the floor. And this time we're going to take one arm overhead, thumb reaching back toward the floor, as the opposite leg extends forward. Now you could bend the knee and tap a toe or take a straight leg out and then bring that arm and leg back up. So one arm overhead, opposite leg, either you tap a toe or you extend the leg out and then bring it back up. Inhaling as you extend and exhaling back up and just continuing like that. So the low belly is working to support that extended leg. We're still working on contralateral movement, really good for the brain to have to coordinate the two sides working at the same time. And linking movement with breath. Inhaling to extend and exhaling back up. Let's do a few more of these. And the next time the arm and leg extend and come back up, we'll transition to the final layer. You can take a break and hug your knees in if you like here. Our final layer, we're going to take both arms overhead, thumbs reaching back toward the floor. We're going to press out through the heels, breathing in. As we exhale, we'll begin to extend the legs away from us. So as your legs extend, your lower back eventually is going to want to arch off the floor. So we're going to try and keep the low back from arching. At a certain point, that becomes really challenging. So then we'll hug the knees in, inhale the legs up. So press out through the heels and really focus on trying not to let the back arch. But if it begins to arch, then draw the knees. You know, there's sometimes a little bit of a natural arch in the low back. But when you go past that neutral curve in your low back, that's the point when you draw the knees in, inhale the legs up, maybe one or two more. Extending out, pressing out through the heels as you lower the legs down. And then the knees come in. This will be our last one here. We'll extend the legs out. And then as we draw the knees in this time, let's reach the arms up and hug the knees into chest and just gently sway. Release the low back. Take a breath. And then we'll release the feet down. So that was a lot of work into the hip flexors there. So let's just do a gentle bridge. Feet about hip distance, heels fairly close. We'll just press down with the feet and lift the hips up into the air. Just getting a little stretch in the front of the thighs and into the front of the hips. Take a breath at the top. And then just lower yourself down out of your bridge. Great. Let's roll to the side and push ourselves up. And we're going to make our way around to all fours. So when we come onto all fours, if kneeling is not great for your knees, feel free to come and stand with your hands on a chair. And also if like that, you know, you can't have that much weight on your hands or your wrists, the chair might be a nice option. You also have the option to put a blanket under your knees anytime we're on our knees. So some sort of a cushion for your knees might be appropriate, and that would be fine. So let's get our knees beneath our hips, our wrists beneath our hands. Take a moment to feel your spine nice and long. Take your gaze down between your hands. The back of your neck will be nice and long. From here, let's take one leg and just press the heel back, pulling the toes to the floor. As we press out through the heel, can you feel the leg engage? Now notice if you've shifted your weight. Can you keep the weight evenly under both hands? Spread out your fingers, press into your thumbs, your knuckles. So you're really strong and steady here, pressing out through that heel. Let's take the opposite arm and reach it forward. And you may notice how the core kicks in to hold this position. We're just creating some work through the trunk and along the muscles that support the spine. Take a breath here. And then take your hand down, but take the leg, bend the knee so the foot faces the ceiling, and press up just a little bit with your heel. So you feel that action into the hamstring and glute. Notice if that makes you drop your belly or arch your back. Try to keep the belly strong so that that doesn't happen. So you're just lightly pressing the heel up. Then let that knee come down next to the other knee, but then take it straight back. And then can you press it a little bit up? Again, working into the hamstring and glute. Let that knee come down. Now notice your low back. As your knee goes straight back, do you drop the belly or arch the back? Try not to do that. And what about if you press up a little bit more? Can you just keep your spine neutral? One more time, drop the knee down and then take it up behind you and then even a little bit higher without compromising your strong core. All right, let's bring that knee down. Square up again. And then take the other leg. Press back through your heel. Pull your toes to the floor. Pressing strongly out through that heel so the leg is firing. And then take the opposite arm and reach it forward. Yeah, can you feel that arm and leg long, parallel to the ground? And you're holding steady as much as you can here. That effort to hold steady, engaging all kinds of muscles here. Take a breath. And then keep your leg back, but just let your hand come down. So that leg that's behind, let's bend the knee. So the foot points to the ceiling. Did that make you arch your back? Support your low back. And then press up a little bit. Press your heel up. You're going to feel the back of the leg fire. You're going to feel the work into your glute. And you're going to keep the torso strong. So let's drop the knee down. It doesn't have to touch, but it comes in. And then take it straight back. Keep the spine supported. And then press the heel a little higher. And then drop the knee down. And then take the knee straight back. And then press it a little higher. Again, drop the knee down. Take the knee straight back. And then press it a little higher. And then one more time. Drop the knee down. Take it straight back. And then press it a little higher. Great. All right, let's bring that knee all the way down. We're going to sit back into child's pose. Sit back on your heels. Let your body round over your legs. Let your head rest on the floor or on your bent arms. Take a big breath into the back body. Feel the breath expanding into the back of the lungs, the back of the ribs. Let the exhale be another releasing and letting go. And again, noticing how it feels to breathe. Noticing how you feel in this moment. What are you feeling? How are you feeling? Just notice and be accepting of whatever you notice. Welcome in your feelings as being valid. Maybe you're feeling wonderful, maybe you're feeling tired, maybe you're feeling whatever it is. Just notice and be okay with it. All right, let's lift our heads up and reach our arms way out in front and make our way to downward facing dog. Taking the hips way up and back. Let your head relax. Shake your head a little bit. We hold so much tension in the neck. Just free up the neck here by kind of tractioning the weight of the head down. Let's go ahead and bend a knee and press a heel down. And bend that knee and press the other heel down. So as your heels are pressing down, as you're alternating like this, can you see that heel going straight back rather than angling in? Try and get that heel to press straight back. Alternate one more time on each side. And then bend both knees a bit. And draw the hips way up and back. Feel the spine lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Breathe in and out. Then let's walk our hands back towards our feet, dropping the heels now. Fold it over, ragdoll, heavy arms, heavy head. Weight solidly centered, balanced onto your feet. So there's not more weight in the balls of the feet. There's not more weight in the heels of the feet. It's kind of evenly spread out. And then let's draw the belly in and begin to roll up. Knees can be soft here. Just begin to unfurl and stack your spine. One vertebra on top of the other. Just a nice gradual unfurling. Eventually letting the head come up. And then let's turn and face towards your computer and we'll do sumo. So we're going to have our feet a little wider than hips and our toes slightly angled out. We can have our hands on our hips. We're going to let the knees start to bend forward in the direction of the toes. And as the knees bend forward, we're going to take the hips back. So knees go forward and hips go back. So make sure your heels are wide enough that you can kind of get kind of low. And those knees bending out towards the toes as the hips go back. We're going to try not to let the chest drop all the way down. We'll keep the chest a little bit lifted here. So as you come down, could you bend your knees a little more forward and take your hips a little more back? And notice. And then let's try lifting both heels up. So now it becomes a bit of a balance challenge. If you need to have a wall or a chair, that's fine. So the heels are up pretty high, working the calf and ankles here. We're working the whole inner line of the legs to try and hold this position. Let's try and lower the heels for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2. Let the heels touch and then lift them again. Nice and high if you can. And then slowly lower. 5, 4, 3, 2. One more time. Touch and lift and slowly lower. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now touch your heels down and then lift them up ever so slightly. And with your heels slightly lifted, begin to straighten your legs. Yeah. And then lower your heels. Let's again take the knees forward and hips back. We're going to lift the heels just barely, really close to the mat, and then straighten the legs. So maybe you're feeling that work in the pelvic floor here. Drop your heels one more time, hips back, knees forward. Lift your heels a little bit, and then straighten your legs. Great. Drop the heels down. All right, let's come and stand at the front of our mat. As we come to stand, root down to stand tall. Reach your arms out now and broaden, broaden, broaden. Space between shoulder blades, space from shoulder to shoulder, space from fingertip to fingertip. Then start to lift the arms up, and as the arms lift, let your shoulders lift, let your ribs slide up. Maybe let your heart lift a little bit here. Really lengthen your spine. And then swan dive forward. Soften your knees as you fold over. So we want to round the back here. Could you draw a breath into your upper back to create a little more flexion or rounding in your back? And then let's extend the spine. So you might have your fingertips on the floor. You might bring your hands to the shins. As you exhale, can you extend or lengthen your spine and even think a little bit of arching the upper back? So we're going to fold over and we're going to breathe into the upper back. We're flexing, rounding more. And then as we exhale, we're going to extend. So can you extend right between the shoulder blades? One more time. Inhale into the upper back. And exhale and extend forward. Great. All right. Let's bring our hands to the floor and step back to downward facing dog. Down to lift up and back as you breathe in. We'll exhale to straight arm plank. So as we come into this strong position here, let's think about pushing down, like you're pushing the floor away. Press back through the heels and bring your head up. Sometimes the head drops down. Can you bring your ears in alignment with your hips and your shoulders? If this is a little more than you're ready for this morning, you could drop your knees down. So there's a little less weight that you have to support. But you're still bearing a lot of weight on the arms, on the shoulders, on the wrists. If it's too much on your wrists, you can drop to forearms. But can we hold here? Creating all sorts of muscle engagement to support this position. If the core wasn't engaging, the hips would drop down, but the core is going to work to hold the hips in line with the ankles and the shoulders. Let's take one more breath here. You're doing great. All right, we're going to bend the elbows a bit. So if you need to drop your knees down at this point, go ahead and do so. But don't let your head drop. Don't let your hips drop. Take one more breath. Nice job. Now let's lower down. You might drop your knees down first and then bring your chest to the floor. Come onto the tops of your feet. Slide the heels of your hands back, letting your chest sink as close to the floor as possible. Your nose might graze the floor, then lift your chin in your nose. Rotate your head so you're just hovering your face right off the floor. Reach back through the toes, lengthen through your crown. Let's inhale up to baby cobra. So the chest is lifting up, the heart is pulling forward. All the work is coming from the muscles of the upper back. So your hands could lift off the floor. Let's do that. And let's lift the elbows toward the ceiling and hug the elbows in. Create some work in the muscles of your upper back, the backs of your shoulders here. The back of the neck is long here. We're not taking the chin forward. Let's release the hands, release the chest. All right, let's do that again. Inhale up to baby cobra. Lift the hands, lift the elbows, hug the elbows in. Then release the hands, release the chest. This time we'll keep our hands down. We'll inhale up to baby cobra. We could stay here, or we can press down and come up higher to cobra. And then we'll exhale, lowering down. Great, let's push up to knees. We'll curl the toes under and lift the knees up. And then let's lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. We'll breathe in and out here. And looking forward, let's walk the feet up toward the hands. We'll plant our feet beneath us. And then we'll sweep the arms out. Inhale and rise up. And exhale, arms down at our side. Great. All right, feet nice and planted. Same thing, take the arms out wide. Then inhale the arms up. Lengthen your spine, maybe extend a little bit. And then swan dive forward, folding over. Take a big breath into your upper back. Exhale and extend your spine. Draw your heart forward. Extend right between the shoulder blades. Inhale again as you round. And then bring your hands to the floor and step back to downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Exhale to straight arm plank. We're going to try a side plank here. So there is an option to drop to one knee. You could drop on the knee that's away from the camera. You could drop on that knee and turn the foot back and press down to lift up into side plank. Or you could just roll on the side of the foot towards the camera and then lift the arm up. You could even stack your feet if you like. You could try lifting the top leg if you like. So lots of variations here. You're pressing down on the bottom hand to lift up. If it's too much for your wrist, you could drop onto your forearm. If your hips are sinking down, can you lift them up a little higher? Let's take a nice deep breath here. Space from bottom shoulder to top shoulder. And then come back to your straight arm plank. Let's come up to downward facing dog and take a breath. We'll exhale and lower again to straight arm plank. Now, if this is too much for your wrists or your shoulders, you could be here on a chair. You could be doing this modified on a chair. Now you could drop onto the knee closest to the camera, or you could just roll to the camera and do the other side plank, right? So if you're on the knee, you could be lifting the leg up. If you're on the feet, they could be one behind the other, or they could be stacked. So notice if you're letting your shoulder drop. Broaden from shoulder to shoulder, from shoulder blade to shoulder blade. Keep the hips up high. Don't let them drop. Take a breath. Nice work. And then come back to your straight arm plank. Again, lift up to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Lower to straight arm plank. You could drop to your knees if you like. Try a little bend in your elbows without letting your hips lower. Take another breath. And then exhale your way all the way down onto the mat, into your prone mountain. Let's inhale up to baby cobra or cobra. And exhale back down. And make our way up and back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Looking forward, walk your feet up. Plant your feet beneath you. From here, let's bend the knees. Drop the hips down. We'll bring our hands to heart. Keeping the hips low, let's lift the chest up. We'll reach the arms forward as we sit back into chair pose. So can you keep your hips low and bring your arms up alongside your ears? It's surprisingly challenging. This is sometimes called fierce or powerful pose because this is hard work here. If your head is dropped forward, can you lengthen through the back of the neck so the spine is one long line here? Let's push down into the feet and legs. Inhale and rise up. Reach up. And exhale, arms down to the other side. Nice work. We're going to go one more time. Root down, inhale and reach out and up. Exhale and swan dive forward. Bring your hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath. Exhale to straight arm plank. Take another breath. Exhale, a little bend in the elbows. Take another breath. Exhale and lower all the way down. Find your prone mountain. Inhale up to baby cobra or cobra. Exhale back down. Make your way up and back to down dog. Breathing in and out here. All right, let's take the right leg up in the air, taking a breath. We'll bend the knee, dropping the heel towards the bum. Lift that knee up a little higher. Take another breath. And then option to swing the knee up and in, look forward and step through to lunge. Or you could drop onto the back knee and then step the foot out in front. And then lift the back knee up. So we all end up in a low lunge. Feet as wide as hips now. So maybe you gotta drop your back heel down. Otherwise, can you have that heel pointing straight back as it's lifted up? We're gonna press into the front foot and inhale and bring the chest up. Bringing hands to hips, let's square our hips to the front of the mat. Maybe bend into the knee a bit more, getting a lot of weight on that front foot. And then we're gonna push the front foot down to inhale and straighten the front leg. And we'll exhale and bend the front knee. So just do that movement a few times. Now, if you need to hold on to a chair to do this or hold on to the wall, by all means, offer yourself the modifications that make this practice feel as functional and as safe and as appropriate for you as is right for you this morning. So how does it feel to be here, bending and straightening the leg? Do you feel solid and steady? Do you feel a little wobbly? A little wobbly is okay if we're feeling safe, because when we wobble, then we have to right ourselves. And in that moment of righting ourselves, we engage the muscles that support our balance. But if we feel like worried about it, then we're going to want to hold on to something. So the next time the knee is bent, pause there Imagine that energy of the knee and shin is continuing to move forward, but at the same time, pull that same sitting bone back. So you really stabilize that front leg. Press back through the heel, lift your heart up. Let's drop the arms down and reach them out. And then with our in-breath, we'll lift up. Stretch up, lift the ribs, lift the shoulders, lift the heart. Big breath here. And then we'll exhale our hands down to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. You could stay here, you could take a break on your knees for a bit, or you could flow into straight arm plank, little bend in the elbows, lowering all the way down to prone mountain, inhaling up to baby cobra or cobra, and exhaling back down and making our way up and back to down dog. From here, let's lift the left leg up high. Keep the knee where it is, drop the heel toward the bum. Lift the knee up even higher, taking a breath. And then we can either swing the knee up and in, look forward and step through to lunge, or again, you could drop onto the back knee and then step the foot out in front. Either way, we're gonna lift up into a lunge, feet as wide as hips. Maybe we can keep the heel lifted, pointing straight back. You might feel the need to plant the foot, which is okay. Let's bend into the front knee, press into the front foot and rise up. Take your hips, if your heel is down, your hip's gonna be a little bit back. If your heel is up, bring that back hip around so both hips are square to the short line of your mat. Let's push into the front foot, inhale and straighten the front leg. Exhale and bend the knee. So simple movement here, but not easy. We're balancing on the ball of the back foot. So we have to work to maintain that balance as we move. So really grounding through the front foot can be very helpful here. Focusing on the breath can kind of focus our mind. And we're paying attention to how we feel as we breathe and move. So the next time the front knee is bent, pause there. Imagine the knee and shin continuing to move forward, but at the same time, draw that same sitting bone back. Really stabilize that front leg. Let's lift the heart a little bit. Drop the arms. Take the arms out, inhale and reach up. Lift up with your breath. And then exhale your hands down to the floor, stepping back to down dog. Again, you could stay here or drop to your knees and take a little break, or we can flow one more time, straight arm plank, little bend in the elbows, lowering all the way down, prone mountain. Inhaling up, baby cobra or cobra. Exhaling back down, and then up and back to down dog. Breath in and out here. Looking forward, we'll walk our feet up towards our hands, planting feet beneath us. Let's reverse swan dive. We'll sweep our arms out, inhale and rise up. And exhale, arms down. Nice job. Let's turn towards the computer, coming into a wide stance. Feet nice and wide. We'll turn the left foot in, we'll turn the right foot out. So when we do our standing poses, it's an opportunity, we always do yoga in bare feet so that we consciously feel our feet on the floor. We feel our toes. We feel the balls, we feel the heels, we feel all the parts of the feet that touch the floor. We spread the weight out, so it's not all on the inner edge of the back foot. It's on the whole foot. And can you keep the weight on the whole foot as you bend your front knee and as you straighten your front knee? Just do that a couple more times. As the knee bends, you kind of drop into your hips here. Maybe you can feel that. A little bit of work in this back hip, especially. Maybe you feel a stretch in the inner line of the front leg. What do you feel? Bend and straighten one more time. And then the next time the front knee is bent, pause there.
Now from the hips, with your hands on your hips, tip your hips over. Bring this forearm on this leg. Take the other arm forward. Let's sweep it up and overhead. Thumb to the ceiling, pinky to the floor. And then we'll roll the belly and chest towards the computer. And then we'll release the head to look down. So from the back foot planted down, can you reach long with that top arm and breathe? And then sweep that top arm down in front. Reach it back behind you. Inhale and rise up to proud warrior. Shoulders over hips, broadening out. Take a breath to lengthen through the spine. And exhale, releasing your arms. Straighten that front leg. Turn the feet forward and go to the second side. Right foot turns in, left foot turns out. We'll bring our hands to our hips. Spread that weight out solidly into the whole foot, front and back. And then bend the front knee. And straighten it. So how does it feel as you bend the knee? What happens? Does the back outer edge of your foot lift up? If so, press it down. Do you feel like you could go a little deeper? Would that feel like a little more juicy action in the hip, or would that be not right for today? What are you feeling? The next time the front knee is bent, pause there. Hands on hips, let's tip the hips over. The upper body just kind of follows. Forearm on the thigh. Other arm reaches forward. Let's sweep it overhead. Thumb up, pinky down. And then roll the belly and chest kind of underneath towards the computer. And then let's release the head to look down. Back foot is planted. We reach that arm long overhead, big breath. And then we'll sweep that arm down, reach it behind. Inhale and rise up, proud warrior. Feel the strength as you open up here. And then release. Great. Straighten that front leg. Turn that foot in. We'll bring our feet all the way together. Okay. So we're going to do a real basic variation of headstand that pretty much everyone can do. You can always take it to a higher level. But for our headstand, the first thing we're going to do is think about where you would balance a book on your head. And if you're in a room where there is a book, just go grab a book. I used to love to balance a book on my head when I was a kid. I don't know about you. But if you balance a book on your head, you naturally find the center of your head. So if you have the book, great. If not, just imagine. But then press down and find the central point where that weight is balanced on your head. Because that's the part of the head that we're going to put on the floor. So that I sometimes see people putting their weight more forward, like on this part of your head. You want it on the top part of your head where you would balance the book. So just maintain your awareness of where that part is. And then we're going to come down onto knees. Now, if kneeling is bad for you, you could even do this with your head on a chair. If kneeling doesn't work for you, the goal here is to get that part of our head that we are balancing the book to put a little weight on it. So you could have your head on the chair. You could have your head on the floor. Level one is just to have that part of your head on the floor. Now you can put your forearms on the floor and cradle the back of your head with your hands. That'll give a little more support. You're welcome to stay here, just with that part of your head on the floor. If you want to add a little weight, you can curl your toes under and lift your hips up. So there's a little more weight on your forearms, a little more weight on that part of your head where you would balance the book. If you want a little more weight, you could walk your feet in so your hips are stacked. If you want to take it to a wall and then take one leg up and take another leg up, you're welcome to do that as well. So we don't have to stay here long, but we want to ground through that part of the head where we balance the book. And we'll just take a couple more breaths here. And then we'll drop to knees if we're not already there.
And then we're just going to transition to child's pose. So we let the forehead rest on the floor or on our bent arms. If we had our head on the chair, we could sit on the chair and just fold over. So we just take a moment to cool down a bit. Headstand is really kind of fiery. But we did a nice inversion there. We had the blood flowing to the head. We grounded through that part of the head that connects to the floor. It's quite a bodily experience and sensation. So just take one more breath. Notice how you feel. And then when you're ready, you can lift your head up. So here's where we want to go to a wall. If you have a wall that you can access, we're going to sit sideways to the wall so that we get our bum really close to the wall. Get your hip right up sideways to the wall so that you can lie down and bring your legs up on the wall and you end up close to the wall. Your bum isn't right up against the wall, but you're close to the wall. And as you end up close to the wall, a comfortable distance, so you're not screamingly stretching into your hamstrings, you have a little space, then separate your heels about as wide as your hips. Drop your arms at your side. So your heels are on the wall, your feet are flopped back towards the root. Begin by pressing your heels into the wall and then feel as though you're clawing your heels down toward the floor, making your knees bend a little bit, making your hamstrings fire. And then start to use this strength of those hamstrings to begin to lift your hips up and up and up and up. So you're bringing your weight up onto your shoulders, just like we do in bridge pose. Take a breath at the top, and then use the strength of your legs to very slowly, gradually release your spine. Vertebra by vertebra by vertebra by vertebra. So we can really slow down this gradual release here as the legs provide the support. Your upper back releases, your mid back releases, and then your lower back releases. And as you make your way all the way down, eventually you feel the sacrum at the base of your spine releasing to the floor, and then your legs can relax. Take a break, take a breath. We'll do that a few more times. Heels pressing into the wall, heels pulling down to lift the hips up and up and up and up, bringing the weight onto the shoulders. Take a breath at the top, and then a nice, slow, easy, gradual lowering down. It can feel really nice because there's plenty of support so that you can articulate your spine on the way down. Maybe feeling individual vertebra releasing in ways that you might not when we do our typical bridge pose with our feet on the floor. So some people go faster, some people go slower. It's all good, but when you come to the end and your sacrum rests on the floor, take a little break. So we can continue doing this, going up and down. If you'd like to move into shoulder stand, you can start the same way, pressing into the wall to bring the weight up onto your shoulders. And then you could clasp your hands and snug your shoulders in close. Your elbows are in close. Then you could bring your hands onto your low back, so they're supporting your low back. And then you could explore taking one leg off. If that felt okay, you might take the other leg off. If you want to try both legs off, then you'll find yourself in shoulder stand. If you feel like you don't have enough support, try and snug your elbows in a little more. Snug your shoulders in a little more. No need to have your legs straight up. They can be angling back. And you can stay here for a while. You can go back to legs on the wall. You could be rolling down and up. You could even just have your back on the floor and your legs up the wall. That's a nice restorative yoga pose. So all kinds of options here. You're always welcome to just hang out in legs up the wall. You can spend some time in shoulder stand. So the weight in shoulder stand is on the back of your upper arms on the floor and the upper shoulders. A little bit of weight in the back of the head. Whatever we're doing, wherever we are, we're breathing. We're noticing how it feels. Maybe we notice the feeling of the movement. Or maybe if we're just holding shoulder stand or holding legs up the wall, we notice how it feels in that position, in that pose. How does the body feel? It's different to be upside down. How does it feel to be upside down? Let's take one more breath and begin to transition. If we're not just legs up the wall, if you're in shoulder stand, you might bring your knees to nose and roll out. You might bring your feet over into plow pose. Wherever we are, we're going to make our way out, rolling down as we did initially, taking our time, ending up with our legs on the wall. We'll take one more breath. And then let's bring our feet onto the wall so that we can push our hips away so that we have room to roll to the side and push ourselves up. And we're going to transition to lying on our backs. If we did our shoulder stand, we're going to want to just do a little neck release. So ideally you have a blanket or a pillow or something to cushion your head. We're going to just lie down with our head ideally a little bit cushioned, arms at our side, to release the muscles in the neck that we may have felt a little compressed or, tightened up from shoulder stand. We're just going to activate the muscles in the neck. We're going to kind of center the head onto something, maybe a pillow or a blanket folded over. And I just want you to, as you inhale, to press the back of your head into the blanket. So you may notice it takes muscle contraction in the neck to do that action. And then just release that action. And then those neck muscles will relax a bit more. So on the in-breath, pressing the back of the head into the blanket. And on the out-breath, letting that press release. So even if you didn't come up into shoulder stand, this could be a nice neck release. Couple more. Pressing the back of the head into the blanket as you breathe in. And then releasing that pressure as you breathe out. And just do that one more time. Pressing the back of the head down. And then easing off on the pressing. Okay. And then we're going to move into our final relaxation. So if you need to put on a layer now, you could transition onto the bed. You can grab a pillow, you can grab a blanket, you can put something under your knees. So set yourself up to be as comfortable as you can. And then lie back, our final pose. And very similarly to what we were just doing with the neck, in our practice, we were engaging and activating so many muscles in the body, and we were focusing the mind on what we were doing. And now this is like the ultimate counter pose, where we let all the muscles relax. There's a few muscles that need to keep working, like our heart and the muscles involved with breathing, and they'll keep working. But any other muscle in the body that doesn't need to work now, there's an invitation for all those muscles to soften, to release, just to relax and let go. Allowing the weight of the body to settle into the floor now. Heavy arms, heavy legs, just dropping into the floor. The weight of the hips, the pelvis, relaxing into the floor. Invite the belly to soften, the gut to unclench. The whole area of the belly, the stomach, the whole area that contains the organs, the whole central trunk, softening, opening, relaxing, releasing. The chest and shoulders dropping back, opening up, softening, relaxing. The heaviness of the head releasing back now. The facial muscles softening and smoothing, releasing away from the skull. The eyes relax, the jaw releases. And the mind can rest now. I'm going to close our practice this morning with this reading from Journey to the Heart by Melody Beattie called Feel Your Feelings. You don't have to do anything about your feelings. Understand that. Believe that. They're only feelings. Emotional energy is important. It's important not to block it, stop it, deny it, or repress it. It's important to discharge it, to value it, to value ourselves. But you don't have to do anything. You don't have to act on every feeling. You don't need to control every emotion or let your emotions control you. Doing something is the old way, the way of control. Simply feel whatever you need to feel. Become fully and completely conscious of what you feel. Take responsibility for the way you choose to express your feelings. Then let your feelings go. Release the emotional energy. Soon you will know what to do next. Know what lesson is under you. You will naturally take the action that's right for you to take. All you have to do about your feelings is feel them. So begin to notice how it feels to transition out of your relaxation. And you're welcome to make your way back and say hello or goodbye, or move on with your day. But it's been a joy to be with you. Thanks for being here.